Hello everybody, this is Chaos with Chaos Esports Productions, bringing you another Bronze to Masters League Series game. We are looking at Zerg today, here in our 1v1 Bronze to Masters League Series, and look at this, we have just gotten promoted to Silver, so let's go ahead and get into the game and see how it went, talk a little bit about, what went on, things... Today we're going to talk a little bit about not raging, because I feel like one thing that it can get really frustrating playing the ladder, and occasionally you'll run into people who just want to, give you a bad day and, want to make a game last forever or this, that, or whatever, and, you just gotta not fall into the rage cycle, as I would like to call it. When you experience a player who is either calling you really bad or just simply not getting out of a game when it's clearly over, just be humble and don't encourage the rage. A lot of times, you'll see probably videos of people like Idra and things like that where he just rages all the time, and it's just, in his mind, it's all in good fun, but it just doesn't help anybody. So I'll go over a little bit of the build as we go through the replay. Now the replay, I believe, is going to be, it's about 21 minutes long. I'm going to speed through probably about a good portion of the end, just because it's me running around killing buildings, not realizing that, oh, he has a second base. But it doesn't matter because we're already maxed out, and it, it is what it is. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the build. Now, the build is going to be very similar to what we've been doing. This build I actually picked up from a forum, and it seems to have worked well. It specified that it was good from bronze until gold, so I'm going to assume that it's going to be a pretty straightforward build and pretty solid here in the lower leagues. We might mix it up a little bit as we get into Silver League and try some new things. But it is going to be a ZvT here on Frost Ladder Edition. We're going to be going for a 15 pool, 15 hatch, just like we normally do. Going to follow up with our first queen, and then 5-minute gas, just as we've been throughout this series so far. I think we're in game number 5 or 6, so we've been pretty consistent, and that's what you want to do in Bronze League. Bronze League is about becoming consistent, focusing on more mechanics and not focusing on kind of the cheeky little things that you can do here in StarCraft, whether it be cheeses or specific... I mean, this build is kind of a timing, but it's not like a super meta timing, I guess I would say. So, going to be getting up our queen here, and basically the queen's function is going to be just to get those larva injects, and then move down to the natural to help defend the natural in case of any type of issue. Now, we did send our Overlord Scout opposite of our natural, so rather than going south, we send it to the left, and then once again, our second Overlord is going to just go chill out by our hatch as it goes down. We want to make sure that there's no bunkers being built or cannons or anything of that sort. So this Overlord's going to be our primary scout, and hopefully he gets down here and scouts in time. Now, as you can see, rather than rallying straight into the base, I like to rally kind of just outside of the base. That way, if he does have his base up, in such a manner that I can see anything right here on the outside, I don't have to force losing that Overlord. So so gonna continue on droning up, and basically we just drone until about the 5-minute mark. We do get our queens out for defense. Now, one mistake that I did make once again was I didn't get my 2 Zerglings, and I think I realized that at one point. I'm just like, oh crap, I have no idea if he's moving out, I have no idea what's going on. And then I finally do get a handful of Lings to take the Zelnaga, as well as send him over here to the natural. But yeah, so going to be droning up heavily, just now putting down our gas at the 5-minute mark. And yeah, feeling pretty good. We'll go ahead and speed it up just a little bit as we get into this. So 3 guys are going to go into each gas, and now that we're fully saturated in the main, we're going to rally everything down to the natural and continue getting our larva injects and droning up. Now, I'm pretty sure this is about the time when I start to see my opponent's base, and I said, oh crap, he's got barracks, he's building stuff. I have no idea how much stuff he's built, so I'm a little bit worried about that. So we did manage to get all 4 queens this time, and are going to be putting our Evo chamber and our Roach Warren down right after we start getting that lair. Pretty, like I said, pretty standard as normal. Now, I did a really good job this game, you know, beating the creep out. I did a... We'll take a look and see where we're at about the 8-minute mark. So there are the links going about, going to get the vision that we want. Now I actually do go ahead and sacrifice one of the lings just to run up in his base and see, okay, how many units does he have? But we're feeling pretty good. Going to be getting guys in our last gas. Our upgrades are going, and I think this is about the time where I'm like, I'm doing pretty high on money. So I'm pretty comfortable going ahead and just draining as much money as I can on roaches. And where are the roaches? Come on. Yeah, there we go. 15 roaches on the way. And since I was so high on money, I just went ahead and got a second Evo chamber just because, you know, we should probably start thinking about late game, and we should also start getting our third. Now, it does look like, wow, he did that a lot earlier than I thought he did. Huh, interesting. I guess I just didn't notice. So yeah, so single ling comes in here, we get a good idea of what our opponent's doing. You know, our creep's doing pretty good. Basically, the way I judge my creep is if by the time that I'm expanding, if my creep is out to my third, so I have full extended creep all the way from my main to my third, you're generally doing pretty good, especially in the lower league. So now that our upgrades are finally up, we're going to just come over here and do a little bit of damage. Now, I go ahead, one thing that I thought was kind of interesting, I went ahead and threw out a couple of changelings. Now, I put one changeling up at the top of the ramp because if you didn't notice it, I get vision of the top of the ramp without having to deal with anything. And I know I've got plenty of leeway just because my upgrades are a lot better. And then I also go ahead and throw one changeling up top. That way, if for some odd reason this changeling does get taken out, I can just move this guy in and get vision of the high ground without having to worry about, you know, high ground advantage or whatever. So gonna come in here and do a significant amount of damage. Now, granted, this is not, I would not say that this is good. You should never take an engagement like this. You generally want to try and bait them out. But in this case, just because I know that I've got more than enough units here, and I've got the +1 upgrade advantage, I know I can just literally walk in here and not worry about it. So I see that something is researching here. I don't know if it's stim or anything else, so I go ahead, focus that down. He goes ahead and loads up, and this is where all the funny stuff happens. Now, at this point, I'm kind of thinking to myself, wow, it's over, good for me. Game over, you know, what do we do from here? Well, rather than focus on all of this, pretty much I let these guys go to town, do whatever. I'm still trying to focus on hitting my larva injects and, you know, getting that practice going. And then at this point, I do go ahead and I threw down my Hydralisk Den as I was pushing out, so that way I can switch over to some Hydras as soon as possible, just in case something like this happens where they just lift all their bases and they don't do anything. And so yeah, so this is about where I'm going to go ahead and speed it up pretty quick. You know, when somebody puts you into this situation where you're just like killing buildings and not really doing anything, you know, you're best off to just play it out, do what you need to do. I waited for Hydras to get in here to do a little bit of damage because I didn't want him to like re-land. What I didn't know is I didn't know he had a nice hidden base over here. So this is about the time where I throw down the Spire and say, okay, we're done. Let's just get out some mutas and call it a day. You know, I'm still droning up. I'm still playing the game as normal. A lot of people, especially in the lower leagues, will forget to do that, and then they get into the situation where their opponent has a second base up and running, and as a function of not knowing it, they actually fall behind. I've seen a handful of games where a person's lost like that, and it's just kind of, you know, it's just kind of embarrassing as the player who loses, you know, who's in the lead and loses, and, you know, I sit here and I'm just like, is this over? What's up? And he's like, yeah, I am plan B. It's like, oh, great. New base. So, yeah. So we are finally on Silver League. I hope you guys have enjoyed up until now. Obviously, we are pushing through the ranks, still fighting to get to that Master League. So we're going to go in here, kill this, and call it a day. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause and go ahead and let you all know. Down in the lower left-hand corner, feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you did enjoy the video and would like to see more. Also, feel free to go ahead and hit that like button and share with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. It really helps me out, you know, get out my tutorials and, you know, help more people. So also feel free, if you would like me to take a look at one of your replays, there's an email in the description. Feel free to send your replays to that along with some other information. All that's in the description, so feel free to check that out. And I think that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the Silver League.